Okay, greetings everyone. My name is Neo, and I'm here to share some info with the people. Back with another video. This video is Family Trap 2. Family Trap 2. So this video right here, I felt like it made more sense to make it more solution oriented for the referring to the first one, the first Family Trap video. The first Family Trap video, I felt like that was very informative, and a lot of information was in that video that most people probably have never heard before, but suspected that something was up with their family. And truthfully, it really is. The family situation, like years and years ago, really was conducive to growing a child into an adult. Way back, like the 60s was more conducive than it is till now. The 60s families, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them was more conducive than here. This modern day society is just like the society builds the society. It's built to make things worse and worse for families, and overall the whole system of things. The system itself is not built to build people up. That's one thing. As an individual, wherever you are in this world, you have to realize that the society that you live in, the people, places, the businesses, the media, all of this is not built to build you up as an individual. It's not. It's built to keep you distracted and keep you thinking like a human, and keep you away from your spiritual self, which the spiritual stuff you're supposed to be focusing on primarily as much as possible. Yeah, as much as possible. So, but some people, a lot of people, get caught up in that materialism, luxury, buying a new car, focus on getting a promotion because they want more money. And let's see what else they get distracted on. They get distracted on video games. Some people, I used to get distracted on that, and I still like video games, but as I matured even more and higher levels psychologically, I just gradually didn't really have a desire to play video games like I did back in the day, like years ago. That's what I've learned throughout my maturity process and evolution. I still play video games and I like them, like NBA 2K17 and some of the smartphone games. But other than that, I'm not obsessed with them like I used to be. And let's see what else people get obsessed with. Excuse me. There's a lot of stuff that people get obsessed with that is a major distraction. And even buying iPhones, buying Samsung Galaxy, all of those phones are distractions. I just, like years ago, I used to always scratch my head and wonder, like, why do they keep coming out with new iPhones every fucking year? Every year. And I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. And number one, the goddamn iPhone technology is old as fuck. Most people don't realize that the technology that Americans get compared to what is really available to the so-called elite, this is old shit. This is really old shit. And with most people not realizing what's going on, they think that, oh, the iPhone is nice and it's new, and the Samsung Galaxy, the new one, whatever that is, the S7 or something like that, they're going all crazy like, oh, this is beautiful and yada yada. This is old shit. And especially all of this technology on this planet compared to spiritual technology and technology from serious beings, this is old shit. So for me, I try my best to avoid getting so obsessed with this technology here. But anyways, this is not supposed to be about a technology session. This video is about Family Trap 2. So the family structure no longer conducive to the growth of children. It's no longer conducive to the growth of children, especially the media does not help at all with teaching parents how to be parents, mature, psychologically stable parents, that is. And you got all of these fucking TV shows and these movies with got the mother and the father doing outrageously immature, highly ignorant things in front of their children and to their children, setting a very bad example. And with me studying families, and let me go into my disclaimer, well, yeah, my disclaimer, or my usual thing that I say before I go ahead and talk about relationships. For me, I titled myself I'm self-titled relationship anatomist. Ever since I think around 2006, after a breakup I had with a current girlfriend at the time, I sat down and said to myself, okay, I'm just gonna go and move to another relationship. First I said, what should I do next? And I was kind of sad, but kind of not sad. It was weird. I was in a situation where that breakup, it was needed. I knew it was needed, but I was just in the middle, not really sure what to think and how I was feeling at the time. So then I was like, I'm just gonna move to another relationship. And then that's when I heard this spiritual voice come through and say, what makes you think that you're ready for another relationship? And it was loud and clear. And with me knowing what is going on with the spiritual stuff and dealing with the spirit side, now I know that was one of my guides coming through, and it was a spiritual transmission. It was a transmission coming through. But back then I just thought it was just my normal thought. But it was a different voice though. And with me analyzing it years later, I realized that was a different voice. That wasn't my normal thought process. So then I was like, yeah, that is true. So then ever since then, I've just been on years of researching, studying, examining, and investigating relationships, human relationships. And then I ended up being guided to the mind and psychology. So I've been doing a lot of research with investigating actual couples, families, my own family first, starting with my own family. You have to start there first, because that's your first experience with relationships. That's what the spirit told me, and that's what I did, and I see the difference. Analyzing and observing my own family. Did that, then I moved off to studying the various people and couples and families within the congregation that I was in, as far as the Jehovah's Witness religion, when I was in that religion, but I woke up and got out of that, and studied a variety of families there and analyzed it and come to my own assessment. And then now I'm at to the point that I've been doing that for so many years. I developed a relationship mindset, and now that my intuition is a lot more heightened, now I can just perceive so many things and know what's going on with people. So it's a lot less actual reading and of people. I mean, reading books. Sometimes Psychology Today, I read that every so often, but back then I used to read that also too. And I'm gonna go into I won't talk about that. That was one of my favorite magazines, actually, Psychology Today, because that has a lot of relationship information and things about the mind that I've learned about, and I picked up insights. And you have movies. There's a lot of information in the movies regarding relationships and a lot of stuff. But me, as you can see, I break down the relationship aspect of movies. And I have videos on my channel here that break down the relationship aspects of the movies, and I let people know, like, look, this is what's going on in the world now. this is how people think, and this is what they usually do, and then I'll give a solution to it, usually in those videos. But you can go back, check those out too. So I study movies also. That's how I got it. So now I just have this relationship mindset and all of these relationship insights. So the Spirit told me, like, look, now it's time to go ahead and get this to the public. So here it is. So now, the family trap. So now for the spiritual awakened people, as I mentioned in my first video, the spiritually awakened people, as you're awakening, like I mentioned about the beings in other dimensions, they can perceive when a person is awakening. And they can perceive it because the person starts getting more light within inside of themselves, and they start questioning things, and they start stopping doing some of the things that used to be a distraction to them, and they waking up, start questioning things. Like, for example, a lot of people, when they're in religion from their youth or in any other time, once they start waking up spiritually, they start questioning the religion. You've heard a lot of stories, and even maybe you have actually started questioning, like, since Jesus is this, then why does he do this, this, and this? If God is this, if God is so all-powerful, then why the hell do we humans need to worship his ass? This shit just doesn't make sense. And then, you know, it's a lot of people just keep asking these questions, and then when you go to the pastor, for some people, and for me it was the elders, then that's when the beings come through. Sometimes they do that, and then they control the pastor, especially because the pastor is high. A lot of them are highly, what I'll say, controlled by the beings, and some people can actually see the being behind the pastor just doing whatever doing whatever behind him, and throwing thoughts inside of his mind and controlling him. So then for some people, when they question the pastor, they get ostracized and condemned almost, and it's sad when it happens to a child too, So my solution, well, for me in my situation, as I said before, I think I said in the last, well, in a few of my previous videos, is that some of us come through as souls with more power packed within inside of us. We have more energy, and that energy, whether it get depleted or not, it always gets regenerated. And that energy is so powerful that it can override a variety of psychological, physiological, and environmental issues. So with me, I'm one of the ones, and it took me a long time to like really comprehend it, but I knew ever since I was younger that something was different about me from the other children that was in the kindergarten from the beginning. And then throughout the years, I just was wondering, like, why am I different from everybody else? And just like with you, you can think back to when you were younger, you always knew that something was different about you, as far as the spiritually awakened people now, that was different about you than the other people. Where you start to perceive things differently, your intuition was high. Like, one of my first experiences with intuition was, I was sitting down, I think it was kindergarten or first grade, and sitting down with my classmates, and then I would just all of a sudden just know who had brothers and sisters. And that was my first experience with intuition and extrasensory perception. I would just know like which ones had like sisters and brothers, and then I would have like little sessions, and I would just sit people down and just be like, look, sit down. And then I would just focus on them, and I say, you have a brother and a sister. And they were like, yeah, how did you know? So that was my earliest earliest experience with the intuition, but now I've been working on it, and now I know a lot more about intuition and how to recognize it. So, let me get back to what I was talking about. We can override it. So some of us override a lot of stuff. Like for me, my father officially got divorced with my mother. Them two, they got divorced when I was at the age of 4. After that, my father was in and out of my life in particular. And then at the age of 13, Spirit came through when I was sitting down in my room and said that, look, your father is not coming back. You have to learn how to be a man on your own. Don't cry. And it literally said, don't cry. They said, don't cry. Just focus on being a man on your own. And then I was like, wow. So my father is not coming back. I was like, well, okay. And that's exactly how I said it. And this was at 13. So that's that strength, that spiritual strength coming through, helping me override that. Because the average person, a lot of males in particular, but there's just young people, when they realize that their father is not coming back or the mother's not coming back, they freak out. They freak out in a lot of ways, and then they act out in school. So if your child is acting out in schools, stop and do honest reflection on your current family situation. How is your environment set up currently? Is it conducive to helping the child grow and be happy, or is it a lot more conducive to them being distracted from school, from self-growth, and a lot of other things? So you got to really pay attention to that. And I used to think that only in the poor neighborhoods of cities and places, whatever, that was where a lot of the family dysfunctional families exist, which is a lot of them do. However, me studying this and investigating relationships, I see that it's even the wealthy of the wealthy that they got dysfunctional families. They have fucked up families, fucked up mothers and fathers, and even other siblings too. And then I used to think that it was only black people that got dysfunctional families, but nope. Doing the studying and really investigating it, and seeing that even the white families and a lot of other families, they put on this projection, especially in the religions, that, oh, everything's all right, oh, Tommy is okay, he's doing good, he has a new car, he just graduated from high school, college. And in reality, when you really get through, if you can perceive through all of that fake energy stuff, and or really spend time with them and see how they react in certain situations, and you can perceive that they're not on the same level. They're not a team. They're not an effective team, like the movie Oblivion. Are you an effective team? No, the majority of these people are not an effective team. And my battery is doing this again. I thought I plugged this up. Oh my god, hold on, y'all. Plug this shit up. What the fuck? Oh, okay, and that's the reason why it wasn't plugged in all the way. Duh, this wasn't plugged into my laptop. Okay, well, I was just so in a hurry to get this video out while I had the energy. Right when I stepped in the door, got undressed, and I had the energy. I like to do these videos when my energy is as high as possible, so that I can focus my energy in my brain and my mind, so I can focus and get this out. So let's see. So yeah, it's more and more the functional families are all over this world, and it's getting worse. And that's so my solution for me. What I did is the spirit told me, like, yo, you got, if you really want to do this music thing, which I did at the time, about 22 or 23. That's when I moved out of my mother's house, and that's when I was more focused on my music career. And then the spirit said, look, if you want to have your own studio and you want to focus on your music career, you have to get out of your mother's house. You got to move out and move into your own house, into your own place. And at the time, I was walking out my room door, and I stopped. And I was like, oh, and then that's when transmission came through. I was like, yeah, that's true. I got to get the fuck out of here. And then ever since then, I just kept working on getting out of her house into my own place. I did it, and that's when I started my personal development work without me realizing it. And then that is when I started to mature to higher levels and started to really evolve. It was that move that started it all, and that was the necessary move that got me moving forward instead of being stagnant. Because being with my mother, there wasn't any evolutionary training being involved being with her. She was just staying focused on the usual stuff that she'd been focused on for years. Going to work, going to her goddamn Jehovah's Witness meetings, going to field service, sitting around on the phone, talking shit with her friends. It's just the same shit. Ever since we was younger, and she still do the same shit. Like when I go to her house, she still do the same shit, if not worse, actually. If not worse. So like I said in one of my other videos, what was the last video? Whatever the last video I did, where I said that she's devolving instead of evolving, and me, I'm evolving due to some of her, some of the things that she used to do during. Wait, how can I say it? Some of her teachings, I say, like reading and watching less TV, but now she does the opposite. She watches more reading, more TV, and does little to no reading. So that what I want to say in this video to the young people in particular, the young people, I'm talking about like 25 and early, and and earlier, that's watching this. Sometimes in certain situations, dealing with your family, you have to get away from your family in order for you to grow. And you got to get out of your mother's house, your father's house, whoever house you are living in. If it's not conducive to your own personal growth that allows you to evolve to higher levels, especially spiritually, when you know that you got a spiritual job to do, and you want to, and you have this strong desire where you want to learn more about spiritual stuff and just higher knowledge other than the normal mundane stuff about how to make money, going to work, learning stuff about, all of the mundane stuff that you just ready for more stuff because you already learned all of that stuff, so you just want more. Once you know you are on that type of level, and then your family is not on that level at all, and in fact, when you start speaking to them about it, they freak out, like, whether they yell at you or they go into seclusion and then don't want to talk to you anymore because you be on that spiritual stuff. You know how they are. Or if you just want to just be you, because there's some families that won't allow their child or their cousin, whatever you are to them, to just be you. And that's how my mother is. She's just like that. She's one of those parents that just doesn't want me to be me. She wants me to be whoever she wants to be, and that's being in that fucking Jehovah's Witness religion. But my spirit woke up and pointed me out all of this shit that's going on with the Jehovah's Witness religion, and that shit is the Illuminati, and you get out of there as soon as possible, so you won't continue to get fucked up and trapped into that fucking religion. Religion in general, I gotta say, is no more. Life is no more about religions anymore. The religions are done, and they're falling even more nowadays. It's just an illusion that they're still up and helping people. But for some people, maybe it is helping people. But for the spiritually awakening people, your spirit is telling you, you got to get the fuck out of there. And it told me when I was 19, but I just wasn't strong enough psychologically to get the fuck out of there until I moved out of my mother's house, and I just completely stopped going there. And I see the benefits now, spiritually, energetically, and psychologically, of no longer going to those kingdom halls at all. The people are nice, and the people in my congregation that I've been to, they all like me, and I do still respect them, but it's just that religion part. That's not for me. Just like having these 9-to-5 jobs is not for me. So I suggest to you that if you're in that situation that's a dysfunctional family and nobody in your family is helping you grow, and they're not trying to, I suggest that you find a way to get into your own place, your own apartment, if possible. But this is after you sit down and do your own personal development work. Because the Spirit taught me that I have to stick at my mother's house and develop my brain and develop my mind before I move out. All of my sisters moved out prematurely, especially my oldest 2 sisters. And my youngest sister, she moved out before me. And I was the only one that stayed the longest, and due to me doing my personal development work, once I left, I was the only one who was able to stay on my own, and who was the most responsible to stay on my own and avoid moving back into my mother's house. All of my sisters, because they left prematurely, they all ended up moving at least 1 or more times back into the bird's nest, aka my mother's house, for whatever reason. And that was because they had many psychological issues, especially the dominant one as far as the father issue, not having a mature, strong father in the picture to show them the proper things in life and how a man should treat a woman. And one thing I've learned throughout my studying is that regardless if a child has their parents in their life or not, if they don't have strong, mature guidance, adult guidance within their life, their childhood, and also if the child within their life fails to do personal development work to identify their psychological issues and resolve them, their unresolved issues, then they're still going to have a tough time transitioning into adulthood, if they even transition at all. There's still people who are what I call grown-up children. These days, a large portion of adults, if not majority of so-called adults, regardless of them having a job, having a car, having money in the bank, having their own house, and children, they're still grown-up children, and they're not mature. Maturity comes with psychological development, psychological cultivation. You have to cultivate your mind into mature adulthood. And societies, especially here in America, has tricked people into believing that having those things, a car, a job, money, a house, and whatever else that people think that being an adult is, they think that they measure material possessions with adulthood. And material possessions is just one aspect, a part of adulthood. But if you have not developed that adulthood mindset, that psychological mindset, then you're still not an adult. And with me doing this investigating and doing my own personal development work, and internalizing maturity. I know what maturity is, and I can just sit there and look at people, and I know which ones are the most mature and which one who seriously have not done their work to get themselves to a higher level. So what you have to do as a young person is you have to start your personal development work while you are within your mother, your father's house. I know it can be tough for some of you because you got your father or your mother abusing you, whether it be verbally or physically. But until you find another place to move so you can focus on your personal development work, focus on your personal development work right now as much as possible. Start by, well, I got an article, self-reflection, self-development. And I'm going to try to remember to put it in the description, the link to it. If I don't put it there, then either email me for the link, or if you want, just go to my, my blog, my Committed Relationship blog, and read that. I talk about how you got to go back to your family history and get as much information about them as possible, because you have to learn where you came from, how you came into being, how your parents got together, and how their parents treated them. And then you can see how the reason why your family and your mother and your father is fucked up. And if you have a caretaker, that's different. So you have to figure that out for yourself. But if you want more help, I do have consultations. And I got to, speaking of that too, I'm going to put a stop to you people who ask me questions about relationships on any wave or shape or form that you ask me about relationships. If I feel like it's something quick, I'll answer it. But other than that, I charge for my time. I put in a lot of fucking time gathering relationship insights and investigating this and coming to my own conclusions and speaking with the spirit side, and they're pointing me out to different things, and I put in the work. So if you want a consultation, then you got to contact me regarding that. And I even have an article that I wrote about it on my blog, so go read that if you want to know that. But I have a lot of relationship insights. This is just a small basics, free stuff that I'm giving out for free. But if you have questions and you want a consultation, an hour consultation, we can go ahead and do that. But this free information right here, this is just the small basic stuff that I'm giving out. There's a lot of more stuff, a lot more stuff. So do that. And I'm telling you, from now on, I'm going to either ignore certain people that keep asking me questions, because I'm not being disrespectful to people that ask me questions, because certain questions I can answer for free. But all I'm saying is, just like any other professional that charges you for information and consultations, I'm going to do the same thing with you, because there's some people that think that because I answered them one or two times before, whichever way it is, I'm talking about everybody, they think that they can just sit there and just ask me questions over and over again. So with me today, I realized, like, hold the fuck up, let me see what the fuck is going on. Alright, so I gotta let these people know that my information, certain information, is not for free, and I'm not just an information giver, just like boom, 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 and just be sitting there answering questions. So if you're serious about your personal development work, then you are serious to invest in yourself. So if you want consultations, go ahead and talk to me later about that. Alright, now where the fuck was I at? I guess the spirit said this is time for you to let people know, like, what's going on, because I really do receive a lot of emails and a lot of other messages, people asking me questions, which certain... Alright, stop. Alright, go back to what I was saying. So sometimes you have to get out of the house. and get on your own so you can focus. If you can't focus at home, your current environment, then do your personal development work either in your own place or find some other place like a library or whatever else so that you can do your reading, you can do your thinking. And I suggest being by yourself much more. That's what I did. Once I moved out into my own apartment, I avoided all family members and I spent time completely by myself, at least about 2 years by myself. And maybe I would dabble into social environments to let people know, and in family, let people know like, hey, I'm still alive, I'm still psychologically stable, but I'm still focusing on myself so that I can resolve all of these psychological issues and unresolved childhood issues. Because I had one with my mother. I didn't have any type of love and affection given to me during my childhood, and my mother was, and me studying my mother, I came to the conclusion, the assessment, that her mother and father didn't give her the love and affection that she needed, so she was psychologically and emotionally unavailable, and the same thing with my father. So both of them were psychologically and emotionally unavailable, and that caused me, as far as my mother, that caused me to run around within my early 20s looking for women to be my mother figure. And when I was in relationships with them, I was looking at them as like a mother to take care of me. And this is what goes on with a lot of men regarding their mother issues currently, regardless of what age they are. And then sometimes, and then also it happens with women who didn't have a strong father figure in their life, or both. It goes, yeah, it's a conglomerate of stuff that people have. That's the reason why I suggest self-development, personal development work, self-reflection, self-analysis, and self-development. You gotta sit the fuck down and figure out what's going on. And for me, once I identified that about my mother, that was a start. And I started identifying everything else, analyzing it, and like, oh, okay, I don't have to do this, this, and this anymore. And then after I keep training myself to a point where now stuff is just easy, I can just do stuff normal now and in a relaxed way. And then those issues no longer pop up. If they do pop up, whatever it is, I can identify it and I can deal with it. I can not deal with it, but control it, and then focus on the solution within whatever situation, because I'm a lot more psychologically strong. That's how you can be too once you get your shit right and you get it right. And I suggest avoid trying to get into romantic relationships, especially until you do your personal development work and you develop a psychological strength and flexibility to be able to do certain things that you need to do within relationships, and you can be able to control your own behavior. Most people, because they fail to do their personal development work and fail to learn what their mind is, how it functions, and how to cultivate it, which I suggest you do too, learning what the mind is. Most people don't know how to behave within relationships. So they think that they're ready for a romantic relationship or friendship or whatever else, but as long as they don't know how their mind works and they haven't resolved their unresolved issues overall, they fuck up their relationships. They cause a lot of disruptions, and they're still immature. The more disruptions that comes from an individual that they cause, the more likely they are immature, undisciplined, undeveloped, and they need to do personal development work. That's why I avoid jumping into relationships with most people until I know for sure, like, okay, this person knows how to carry themselves maturely, control their behavior, control their ego, Alright, now, this person, I can go ahead, speak with them, associate with them, and vouch for them in certain situations. But most people, I'm like, unless they want to learn. There's some people that really want to learn and they need help. Like a lot of, oh, I'm going to go into that in my teen pregnancy video. Talking about a lot of young women, young females that didn't have any kind of parental guidance. They need a lot of help. And I learned that from my situation dealing with Jay, the 23-year-old that I've been talking about for so long, and the one that I was attempting to start a friendship with, but she had too many psychological issues. But at the same time, I was ready to help build her up, because I was the one, I felt like I was the one that was prime, qualified enough to assist her with it, because there was nobody else helping her. She was another one, another loner, but she was a loner that never did her personal development work, so she was lost. But because her psychological issues, she didn't recognize who I was and what I had available to offer. She didn't spend enough time with me before she pushed me off, and that's what happened. So once I was with her, and I'm going to go into this more into another video, once I was with her, that made me realize and recognize all of the young females that really need help. They really, really do, and they're lost. And it's males too, but I have it feels like a strong urge to get the young females so that they can grow into mature adults or mature, strong females, and teaching them how to use their mind, and so that they can avoid these idiot males, because there's a lot of weak-minded, immature males, and they're fucking up the women. And I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So the males, I gotta figure out how to help them too. So it's both. But I just have this strong urge to help the young women, and I'm gonna go into that in my teen pregnancy video, because I have another video coming up. So that's what I suggest. That's my solution. Do your self-development work. If you really feel like you're getting too much pressure from your living environment, living with your parents, your caretakers, or whoever else, then either find a way to do your personal development work on your own somewhere else, or until you develop your brain, because a lot of people, like when you're young, you have to stay with your parents until your brain literally develops. And one issue with a lot of people, they leave their home prematurely into their own place or wherever else. They leave home prematurely before their brain develops, and then that's why they have a lot of psychological issues too. Is because their brain didn't develop. So the Spirit told me from 13 to 16, somewhere in between there of my age, to stay with your mother, stay living there until your brain develops. And I did. And I was the last one to leave. And once I started doing my personal development work, I see the results. The results between that I received versus my sisters. It's a big, huge results. It's really, really huge. It's a long shot. But I don't condemn them, because I already know what they're going through. So I help them, and I give them suggestions every so often whenever their ego is out of the way and they can perceive and listen to my advice. So I help them. And my oldest second sister, well, both of them, both of them actually do listen. And they see that my advice is working. So I am making a difference with them. So I want to make a difference with in other people's lives, especially the young females. I say young, between 18 and 23. That right there is prime. But if I can go before that, I'll do it. But that's prime, where I don't know. There's some reason why I feel like intuitively that's the spot where I've been guided towards. I gotta sit down and figure out why the fuck that age. That's what I've been. That age range has just been in my head for so long. Yeah, I gotta ask the spirit why that age range is there. But anyway, so you got that. You got the personal development work you got to focus on and learn what your ego is, because the ego is that human implant that's keeping you as a higher spiritual being, keeping you on a low human fucking level, keeping you obsessed with this goddamn physical realm. And once you realize that you're this higher spiritual being, this advanced being, you're like, oh my God, I've been caught up in this damn human life. That's how we've been for years, and that's how this system is built. This societies is built to keep you on a low human level, to keep you trapped in here. That's what this reincarnation shit has been doing. People think that, oh, reincarnation is a good thing. No, it's a fucking trap, keeping you human. I can go on and on about that. So I'm still learning too about that. But your ego, your mind, the mind, how it functions, how to cultivate it, because you have to cultivate it and learn how to be able to control it, and you have to resolve your unresolved childhood issues after you identify what they are. And you identify them by learning how you were, by reflecting on how you was raised. Because let me give you an example. If you did not get a lot of love and affection from your parents, then chances are you're going to be running around seeking it from other people in your life currently. Just stop and think about how fast you jump to getting into relationships with other people. That's a psychological issue. That's how I used to be with women in my early 20s. It was like the first one that gave me attention, I was like, ooh, and then I just gave her attention and just wanted to be around her. But now I'm like, ooh, I'm controlling myself and doing my investigating, my reading of the woman, and then I know ahead of time if that one is worth my time or not, like early. Sometimes it's within seconds, sometimes it's within one or two conversations with that individual. I know now because I resolved that issue. And you have to resolve these unresolved issues because they act as errors that keep you on a low level, and then they'll pop up unexpectedly in certain situations that you're in within your life. So you have to focus on resolving those. If you can't do it yourself, just like I did it myself, spending my time with myself and my higher self guiding me through this, if you don't feel confident enough to do it, then you got to go to someone else who can help you. You feel who can help you, even if it means therapy. Because some people feel like they can't do it by themselves, so they go to therapy. You got to get psychological therapy. See if you can hold off on that medicine as much as possible, because sometimes the medicine makes things worse. I'm telling you, it makes things worse for a lot of people. And Jay, the 23-year-old I was dealing with, she was stacked with medicine when I came in. If I was her, if I'm just meeting somebody, well, it depends actually. If you really want to show who you are and you're being your true self, you're being who you are and you're comfortable with who you are, leave your medicine right there and see how the person reacts. Because for me, when I saw that medicine, I was like, oh, okay, well, she has a lot of stuff that's going on with her psychologically, so that's a heads up for me. But I didn't know how serious it was, so I didn't judge her for that. So you can look at it that way. Or if you're not comfortable and you don't want the person to freak out, because a lot of people will freak out, and they're not there's very few people that are non-judgmental. I would take that and put it up and then speak to them about my medicine later when I feel comfortable with them, that they are strong enough to listen and accept my situation as it is. So it all depends. So if you really feel like you need medicine, then go ahead and try it. But for her, she said that her medicine fucked her up even worse. One medicine made her balanced, the other one made her unbalanced, something like that. But that's how it does with this man-made medicine. So it's really a lot. Personal development, it can be a lot for certain people. depending on their situation. However, it's really worth it once you put in the work and you start seeing those results, even the first results that you start seeing. You're like, oh wow, this is really working. And for me now, I feel like I can be in almost any situation, especially social environments, and I can just thrive because I have the social mindset that allows me to know how to behave within social engagements now. So I can control that, and I can bypass my ego, and I'm gonna do another video about that too. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email, or you can find me on Facebook. You can send me some questions with that. Depending on how they are, some questions might require a consultation, and I'll recommend you a consultation. I'll answer a few questions for free, but there's certain questions I'll just tell you, okay, look, you need a consultation, because some people really do need a consultation to get at least the information. Sometimes you have to get a consultation to get the information. Consultation, get the information if you have not done any kind of personal development work, and if you have little to no knowledge of relationships and stuff like that. And within this consultation, you might realize there's something that I said and or did that help you realize one or more major things about yourself. That's the thing about me. I've noticed when certain people speak to me regarding relationships, it's like a self-reflection session for them. Yeah, and I realized that. Yup. That's how it is. I will ask people certain questions to get them to reflect on themselves, and then they start thinking like, oh shit, yeah, you're right, I never really thought about that. And then even with me, when I'm in the situation, I start reflecting on myself, and I'm really big on personal development. So, and I moved my ego out of the way, allowing myself, and I moved that denial out of the way, so that allows me to see what's going on with me and fix it. I jump on it ASAP. So just go ahead and ask me the questions, and then I'll let you know what's going on with the situation. If I feel like a consultation is needed, then I'll go ahead and let you know, like, look, it's time to do this. Because some people keep asking so many questions, that's when you got to get a consultation. But certain questions, I'll go ahead and answer right then and there if I feel like I have a quick answer, or if I don't have a quick answer, I'll figure out how to reply. Alright, till next time, like, comment, share, and alright, peace out.